Welcome in to be our guest. We have a fun lady with us today. We have Mary McCroan, who is a Master Gardner, but you also have special training in pruning. And I know that we need, this is the time of year when we're all thinking about what do we prune, when do we prune it, and I am so delighted because if you listen up, you will find out how to enjoy your plants the most.
And make them look the best.
And make them look the best, and actually what's healthiest for your plants as well. So you brought this knockout rose that
it's sad looking.
It's very sad. So we need to make him better.
We do. we need to talk about gardeners that let their roses look like this, but we won't go there today.
Well, we all are capable of doing it.
We are.
So how do we do what is best for this plant to get the most beauty from this?
Well, let's imagine that this is a knockout rose that's very full and has leaves everywhere.
Okay.
Which is what you'd want it to look like in your landscape. But you might still, and they do have thorns, want to prune it a little bit to make it look its best. So in this case, there's a dead branch right here. And you can prune out a dead branch anytime.
Good.
And then if you have a really full knockout rose, but it just needs to come down in height a little bit, you can take it down in height a little bit. You want to cut back to a little node. See this little bump here? You want to cut.
If you look on the stems and you find like the little bump,
that's
where new foliage is going to be coming
out. New
foliage
and new flowers.
Okay.
So you want to cut just above the bump.
Just above. Right. All right. Okay. Good question.
And we'll throw that over there. And you'd like to have your cut be below the level of the other foliage so your little naked bump doesn't show while you're waiting for it to grow new stuff.
Okay. Come over here and pick one of these so we can see it more clearly.
Okay.
All right, so we're
we
coming
can prune
down.
This just above the bump.
Just above that little
now,
node.
This one's sad looking. So we would just we'd like to even it all up and cut a whole bunch of stuff off. So when the new growth comes out, then we get a lot of new foliage all over.
Okay.
And you can be really serious about this. You can get the big ones.
This reminds me of a good haircut.
This is when
you really have to get it short to start with.
Well, you could start out with a little cut, but this is a sad plant, so he needs some tough love.
Okay.
So I could stop there. And all these points, they're not showing up as really obvious spots that you cut.
Okay.
It doesn't look any uglier than it did before, although it's still not attractive.
It looks more organized.
It's going to grow a whole lot more new foliage, and it's going to look a lot better when it comes out.
How do we know how far down to cut, Mary?
If you want to get real serious about it, this was a pretty sad plant. We can do really tough love. We can do what's called hard pruning. And we can
so
cut
these
it
are
like
the big stalks.
And like that. Knockout roses, you can't do this with all plants. Again, you got to know what you're doing. Knockout roses are really tough.
They're hardy.
And yes, they are. And you can do what we call hard pruning on those. You can hard prune azaleas too, but not this time of year because you'll cut back all the flowers.
So how far, is there a rule of thumb about how far, if you want to do the hard pruning, about how far down you would go?
If it's a plant that will take hard pruning, you can generally take it down to a foot or even down to 6 inches.
Okay, what about hybrid roses?
Hybrid roses, generally not. Tea roses, you are pruning it back to you kind of have a balanced structure that all the new growth is going to come off of. You don't normally hard prune like a hybrid rose.
Okay.
And some plants, if you hard prune them, you'll kill them.
Okay, that's what we need to know.
Hollies are 50-50. You might kill them, you might not. Boxwood hollies are pretty good, but they're generally okay. Boxwoods are 50-50. You might kill them if you prune them hard.
Okay.
You could hard prune, for example, hydrangea, but if you do it this time of year, you'll lose all the flowers. You have to wait until after it flowers.
Okay. So, in closing, a good rule of thumb for the date to look at to prune your roses is
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Roses for Valentine's Day.
Okay, that's easy to remember. What we do not want to prune now and from here on is
hydrangeas, azaleas, until after they have flowered.
Okay.
Although people usually prune roses in the wintertime, a generally safe rule of thumb is after it flowers.
Okay. Listen, thank you so much for coming and teaching us this, and we're going to learn more in the next couple of weeks because we want everything to be beautiful, and you're going to help us make it that way.
You betcha.
So thank you, and we'll be right back.